to a brand new episode of Six Studios. And today marks episode 2 of 3 in the Mortal Kombat theme builds. And today we're going to be repainting a Funko Pop of Scorpion. Yes, we did Sub-Zero, and now we're on to Scorpion. Now, this is Scorpion from the 2021 Mortal Kombat film, much like the Sub-Zero. And what I love about all versions of Scorpion is that they're always so badass. And I cannot wait to get to work on this. And much like the snowy base with Sub-Zero, we're going to do a molten / fiery base with Scorpion, and it's going to be a hell of a time. See what I did there? So same rules apply when it comes to taking the head off of this pop as Sub-Zero. What are we waiting for? What do you think, Joe?
Sounds good to me! Round 2! Fight!
Aha, so the trick was a little extra heat, lay it on there a little bit heavier than usual, because with Sub-Zero, it was a little bit of a struggle to pull apart, but this, no problem at all. Now, in the film, Scorpion is looking pretty dirty, so we're going to take that into consideration when we're repainting him right now. Much like the Sub-Zero pop repaint, we're going to do the majority of it in black, and that's going to act as a nice base, especially when we dry brush the gold onto the armor parts and the mask. We're going to go into the laces right here with a brown just to kind of break up the aesthetic of it. Then we're going to focus on the sword a little bit and then highlight the details on the armor. And then after that we're going to do a molten base like we talked about. Now also in the film, he's kind of been in hell for like centuries, and his skin is just kind of like pale and kind of just sickly. So what we're going to do is just maybe go in around the eyes with a red and perhaps go in dry brush a yellow in there. Just something to make him kind of look not alive, almost like a demon. Something to just make it unique. Alright, so now that we painted everything that needs to be black, we are going to be doing the face first, doing that watered down red acrylic, and then maybe dry brush a little bit of yellow there just to kind of make his eyes pop out more. But then we're going to take a burnt sienna and just go in the stitching around the hood, and we're going to take just a regular brown and do the underside of the mask, and then we're going to take a gold and dry brush it on the top, the raised sections of the mask, and make that stand out that much more.
Alright, so I don't hate it, but I also am not in love with it. What we're actually going to do is go in with a pearl acrylic paint and dry brush that a little bit more, maybe just to fill in whatever gaps are there. Also make it more, I don't know, eyeballish. I don't know, fire away in the comments.
Alright, so after dry brushing the pearl on, I'm happy with this. If it looks a little kind of splotchy or incomplete, I wanted it to be that way because it kind of resembles like a dead eye. Something to kind of make him stand apart. And I know the Sub-Zero figure had like light blue eyes, and we didn't touch on that. But this right here, I think, works for the aesthetic of what we're going for. Anyway, onto the mask. Alright, next up we're going to dry brush some brown onto the underneath parts of the mask, followed by gold on the details. Alright, so next up we're going to take that wicker white acrylic paint And what we're going to do is just lightly dry brush it over the entire hood, mostly just to get the raised spots and the stitching.
Okay, so this next step is pretty straightforward. Much like the Sub-Zero pop, we're actually going to be painting the majority of this black. Now, I've mentioned a couple times that black acts as a good base, and it's completely true for the metallic parts. So for the armor, we're going to be painting that black, we're going to be going over that, eventually with a brown, and just the little areas in between. Now, when I say it acts as a good base, it really gets the details and makes them pop once we dry brush the metallic colors on. It's because it will be coming forward through the layers. A little trick I picked up over the years. I know a couple of other people have done it, and it completely works. So let's get to work.
Alright, next up we're going to be focusing on the shoulder armor and then the hip armor. Now, this top piece is actually going to be brown, and then we're going to dry brush a gold onto it, while the bottom piece is going to be dry brushed gold. As for the shoulder bells, we're going to be painting it a brown and then dry brushing the gold onto the ridged part. So next up, what we got to do is just dry brush some silver onto the blade, maybe put a little bit of blood on there too, because if Sub-Zero has blood in his, why can't Scorpion have in his? But then we're going to go in and just dry brush certain areas, mostly like the lower spots with the details, with a wicker white acrylic, and that's just going to help break it up a little bit, make it look a little dustier.
Finish him, Mortal Kombat.
Alright, so what we're going to do for the base for this guy is almost the exact opposite of what we did for Sub-Zero. So instead of a snowy base, we're going to make a molten kind of lava fiery base. Also using foam, much like we did before. Now I'm thinking that somewhere down here we just Dremel out a crevice and we split it almost like a peace symbol. And in the back we build up some rock, make it kind of spiky looking, kind of menacing, and then in the groove we're going to use hot glue to emulate lava. Now a lot of times people would often use resin. I'm not at that level yet because I feel like I need more practice at it. I have used it, I'm not the best at it, but I promise all of you that I definitely will try to get better at it. But in the meantime, we're going to stick with hot glue, and it's going to be a hot glue lava. I feel like that could be a band. And then we're going to use a sticky back cork board to put it on top, just to kind of make it look like it's gravel. You'll see what I'm talking about. So here's what we're going to do next. I cut out all the pieces of foam because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted this to look like. And as you can see, I built up the layers in the back and on the two sides. And the reason being why I did that is because it's all going to get glued down separately. Then we're going to go in with adhesive corkboard. Now this is pretty thin, so this is just going to be cut to size. It's got a certain sort of granule texture to it that's going to really help sell this effect. Now what we're going to do is put this down first, glue this down, and then we're going to go to town with the Dremel, carving it back. We're going to be chopping away most of this, and it's going to be a bit of a mess, but it's going to look cool in the end. Then what we're going to do is go in to the groove there with hot glue, make it look like lava. After that, spray it with Plasti Dip, give it a paint job, paint the side, glue down the figure. Boom! Easy, right? Yeah. So now that both pieces are glued down, just so we have enough room to work, we're going to take our Dremel and we're going to grind away on the inside and the outside just to make it a little bit more flush and a little bit more uniform, also a little bit more natural. Then after that, we're going to work on the other piece, make it a little bit more spiky and just kind of different. Now by making the rocks look kind of jagged, it hides all the imperfections and the glue marks of the separate layers of foam. So now we're up to the part for the hot glue lava, and we're going to put it just into the crack there, and really not much to it. Just going to put it in there, build it up a little bit, and then after that we're going to spray the entire thing with black Plasti Dip to seal up the foam, seal up the cork board, and it's actually going to act as a base, so it's good that it's being painted black. So next up we're going to hit it with some black Plasti Dip, much like the Sub-Zero base. We're going to give it a couple different coats, that way it gets it nice and ready for painting. It's going to seal up the foam. Now it's nice and hot out today, so this should cure in no time, but we're still going to give it around 3 or 4 coats anyway, just for good measure. Alright, we're almost done here. Now we're going to go in and do a subtle blend of this black acrylic, this zinc acrylic, and then a mix of browns to try to just separate it from the rest of the piece. Like, molten is various shades of black and kind of charcoal. It has a certain shine to it. I don't want to go too strong with that. I want to keep it kind of muted, kind of matte black. Maybe dry brush a little bit of gray onto the rocks here and there, and then go in with 2 oranges that I have and then a yellow that I have in order to make it look like lava. Either way, this should be pretty fun. And then we're going to do around the rim the matte black. Alright, we're in the home stretch with this now. Originally, I was going to leave this black, but I changed my mind and we're actually going to go into this middle ring with a gold acrylic, just to make it pop that much more. I think it's going to look really cool. And then after that, we're going to pop the head back on him, and then we're going to actually glue him to the base. Now, I realize that him standing over lava is highly impractical, but it does look pretty badass, despite the fact that he's going to burn his balls off. But I digress. But after that, we're done. Cut and print, that's a wrap on the Scorpion Funko Pop repaint. And oh my god, much like Sub-Zero, I had a lot of fun doing this. This was so much fun to do, and it didn't take very long, which is also very nice. Personally, I love the look of Scorpion and Sub-Zero in the new set of films, and I can't wait to see what other badass costumes they're going to have in the future, including games. The 2 of them, you can't lose. You can find my Instagram page over here, my Facebook page over here, and as usual, stay weird, stay tuned.
Get over here!